Welcome to the Senior Hour. We are sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care, Advanced Audiology, and Santa Clarita Hearing Center. Barbara Cochran is off today, and this is your hometown station, AM 1220, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for and about by seniors, bringing information to enhance one's quality of life. And today on our show, we have Dr. Jenny Vilos from the Santa Clarita Hearing Center. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you. How are you?
Oh, good. So we've just gotten through a heat spell, didn't we?
Uh-huh.
It's not easy because we're still predicted to move forward with more heat. Now, let me ask you this. I see a lot of individuals who are wearing, I think they're called AirPods.
Yes.
And they're doing interviews on television, but also, little devices in their ears, and a lot of times it's both ears. I'm just curious. You always worry. In the past we've thought about how we're making hearing aids smaller. But do these AirPods have any effect on our hearing in the long run?
Well, it depends on what we're listening to through those AirPods. And it also depends on the level of volume and how many hours we're listening. So because we're getting the sound source so much closer to the ear as opposed to having a speaker in the car or speaker in the house, the sound is going to be louder, and so we have to be careful and not listen for as long. So if it's a phone call, it's okay, but if we're streaming music, we have to be careful not to be doing that too loud for too long.
So are we seeing now those who are using AirPods, are we seeing the effects or the side effects from individuals? And we used to think that riding in a car, for instance, is a problem, and with loud music. But do these earpods expose us, if we're playing music, to possible damage to our ear?
Absolutely.
And our hearing?
Absolutely. My rule is that I tell my patients, if you can hear somebody call your name trying to get your attention, and you know to take that headphone out of your ear and so they can talk to you, you're good. But if somebody's calling your name and you can't hear them, it's too loud, you need to turn it down. And honestly, it's long before the AirPod. This goes back to the Walkman. When we first started putting those headphones on our ears and getting the sound so much more closer into our ear.
So we're really looking at the technology, which is great stuff, but we've gone from earphone type of listening to now actually going into the ear canal and that kind of listening. And it is clearly you can hear maybe better for some people in terms of being entertained, but many a times it's it can be detrimental to that eardrum if it's getting impacted by loud noises all the time.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a matter of limiting your exposure. So if it's a phone call, yeah, you like to hear it through both ears. It sounds great. You have your conversation, you hang up, you're probably fine. It's that, loud music, loud sounds coming through where you have the AirPods in your ears, maybe all day because you're working and you like to listen to music while you work. That's where you're going to see a problem.
So, we have criteria, in terms of testing. We do blood testing in medicine, x-rays in medicine. But for our hearing, really the only true way of determining whether there has been some negative effect is to get a hearing exam.
Yes, but we also have to remember that a hearing exam, hearing loss, damage to the outer hair cells within the ear, the nerve itself, that can be there before it shows up on an audiological evaluation. So we may say you have normal hearing, however, the damage has been done and will creep up on you sooner rather than later.
So Jenny, what are the signs that people should look for in especially in their family members? I mean, as we get older, I've mentioned before, I do house calls and I go to ring their doorbell or knock on their door. But many a times before I even get to the doorstep, I can hear their television. And so I know it's loud.
Yeah.
So then that's one of the signs. But how about with the younger generation? We kind of expect our older adults to have some kind of hearing deficit.
Right.
But with our younger generations now being exposed to these AirPods and the all the hearing supplementations that we have, how do we make sure that our kids aren't overdoing it, playing it too loud? Where down the line when they're 30, 40, or 50, some of these exposures are going to be detrimental to them, where they're going to need hearing aids.
Well, the first thing, and I don't think a lot of people know this, is with the iPhone, at least with the iPod, and I do believe with the iPhone, there's a parental guide on there that lets you limit how loud the volume can get. So parents can go in, and instead of allowing full volume, they can turn that down so that even if the kids turn it all the way up on their end, it's not getting to full power. So that's one way to protect the ears. And what to look for, you're going to see, the kids are watching TV and you're calling them and they're not answering. Crowded places, you're going to, be talking to them and they're going to be straining to hear you. It's a lot, very much like the adults, when you start seeing those signs of hearing loss. I know when I call my patients and the TV's blaring in the background, that's a pretty good indicator as well.
It's a clue.
Yeah.
So when do you, for our listeners who have kids who are maybe teens, when do you start to consider the possibility of having them have an ear exam? I mean, do you have young patients coming in who are like between 15 and 25 who are their parents or loved ones are saying, hey, you need to have your ears examined? And of course, I think for most parents, we're telling our kids that anyway. But, some of them definitely might have some true deficit that, is a medical problem where they might need supplementation, because in the long run, if you go to class, if you're driving your car, I mean, and there's a siren and you don't hear it, and you can't hear your professor, these are detrimental.
Absolutely.
To how one is going to be living life. So are there young people now, more young people coming to your office to have exams?
Not necessarily in the age ranges that you mentioned. And the reason is because in the schools, in the public school system, we're doing hearing screenings. There's certain mandated grades, kindergarten, second grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, 9th grade, and 12th grade. The kids are getting their hearing tested. And when they fail that hearing test, that's when they come to me and they do a full audiological evaluation. And remember, the damage that's being done by that loud music through the AirPods may not show up. It might be damage done, but it won't show up on a hearing test or really show symptoms in that individual until maybe 20 years later. But that person is going to be in hearing aids very early. That's when we start seeing our late 30s, 40s in hearing aids. And I have patients sit across from me and saying, I'm too young, I'm too young. And, we live in a noisy world, and we're, doing more damage by listening to loud sounds, and, there's other factors.
Yeah. And, the other side of this that I'm thinking about, Jenny, is that, I wonder, in terms of earwax, and, of course, as older adults have earwax, and sometimes, I'll look in ears and as part of their exam, and, it's plugged up, and they've either pushed it in with a Q-tip or it's just accumulated and hasn't fallen out. But I would think, and I know that apical glands that produce the wax, sometimes they, the wax is there, as you know, as our listeners probably know, to protect the ear and the canal and the eardrum. But, sometimes it's because of increase in local stimuli, it produces more wax. And so when you put the air pods in, are we seeing more air wax produced that then ends up causing more problems in the long run?
Probably. And the reason is because the natural progression is as the wax is secreted through the glands, it's a moist, it's softer, it's wetter, and as it hits the air, it becomes dry, and it flakes out of the ear on its own. That's why we tell you don't use Q-tips. You don't need it. The ears are self-cleaning. However, if you're wearing a hearing aid, if you have a AirPod in your ear, there's nowhere for the wax to go. It doesn't get to slough out of the ear naturally, and so we see more of an accumulation buildup.
And can you sometimes, with those AirPods, can you sometimes push wax further in? And when they accumulate, you just keep doing that until there's obstruction to where you're hearing, when you take the AirPods out, that you now have a blocked canal of wax. I mean, how often are you seeing that?
I'm not really seeing that. I personally don't own AirPods, so I don't know how deep in the ear that they go. But we can always tell when the wax has been pushed too deep, because the ear canal itself, the wax is only produced in the outer third of the canal. So if I'm seeing wax down in the eardrum, there's no wax glands down there. I know it's been pushed by something.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know how deep those AirPods go. Like with hearing aids, we want that speaker deep in the ear because of sound quality. It's better. And even with the AirPods, you ask somebody who uses it, if you push them in your ears, they always sound better. So it could very well be that if we're pushing the AirPods deep in the ear, we could be pushing wax in.
Wow. That's interesting. How, for our seniors, quite often, as I've mentioned on my exam, I'll see wax, but there must be people coming in because they're being told they're not hearing as well. And when they come in to see you, part of your exam, your ear exam, is to see whether there's accumulation of wax there.
Correct.
Do you remove earwax, or do you send them back to their primary care doctor or an ear, nose, and throat doctor to get the wax removed?
I do the wax removal in my office, unless the wax is too deep, where it's very, very close to or on the eardrum itself. Then I will refer out to ENT to take care of that. And of course, if it's very hard, it's been there a long time, taking the wax out is like pulling a scab off, and it's very painful. So, we would send the patient home and request they use some kind of wax softener. So it would be a lot more pleasant procedure for them.
Yeah. Do you find that older adults tend to have more wax accumulation than younger? Does that seem to be happening these days, or is that it just depends on the individual?
It depends on the individual. Of course, if they're wearing hearing aids, yes, wax impaction can occur more often. But overall, I think it just depends on. I've seen kids with a lot of wax in their ears, and I've seen, older people with the cleanest canals I've ever seen. It just doesn't seem to matter.
Well, we're going to take a break right now. I didn't really expect to get into earwax too much. It's not a common topic for us to be talking about, but it is an unusual situation that plays a role in all of us in terms of losing our hearing or attaining better hearing. So, wax, we put it on our cars and shine things up, but why as human beings we tend to accumulate wax in our ears, that's just kind of an unusual concept. And of course, speaking about it on this show is a little bit unusual too. So we're going to take a break. I'm talking with Dr. Jenny Vilos from the Santa Clarita Hearing Center on your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM KHTS.
Fruit arranged like flowers? What a delicious idea! Edible Arrangements specializes in creating a variety of fresh fruit arrangements overflowing with fresh, hand-designed fruit and filled with strawberries, pineapple, grapes, cantaloupe, honeydew, and seasonal favorites. Made to order in a size you select and ready to eat and enjoy. You can even add chocolate to any arrangement. Edible Arrangements is always fresh, always appropriate, and always appreciated. Order yours today, 253-0052 or ediblearrangements.com. Edible Arrangements is on Soledad near Bouquet Canyon.
Discover the memory care your loved one deserves at Oakmont of Valencia. Oakmont's brand new luxury senior living community in Santa Clarita. Oakmont's innovative memory care program features stimulating and engaging activities in a soothing environment, as well as compassionate professional care delivered in the privacy of the residents' apartment homes. With 2 gorgeous outdoor courtyards, as well as an on-site movie theater, residents will enjoy a life full of vitality, dignity, and purpose. For more information, visit oakmontofvalencia.com.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch, full menu, and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
Aloha, friends! Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
And now for your convenience, a second Honu location at 23502 Lyons Avenue between Peachland and Apple.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry my pillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And here's my best offer ever. You can buy one of my pillows and get one absolutely free.
Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS, or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
You're listening to the Senior Hour on KHTS Radio. Dr. Dorio, go ahead and take it away.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour on your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM, KHTS. We're talking with Dr. Jenny Veloz from the Santa Clarita Hearing Center. And, we had a little bit unusual conversation, Jenny, didn't we?
We did.
About wax. And, I wanted to talk to you about the, wax is obstruction of the canal, diminishes our ability to hear. But there are other reasons why we have hearing loss. Can you differentiate between them?
Of course. Before I do that, I just want to say, with the wax, you know, it's normal to have wax in the ear. It's a good thing to have wax in the ear. It keeps the ear canal lubricated. If the ear canal becomes dry, it can become very itchy. I get a lot of people coming in saying they have very itchy ears. Do you use Q-tips? Yes, I do. Stop them and see how it goes. And interestingly enough, it's also toxic to any insects that might crawl in our ears, so it'll kill them. So there you go.
Yeah. But funny though, Jenny, because I think aren't cats or dogs or animals attracted to our earwax, the scent of it? Then that's why sometimes they'll lick your ears. Or I'm not sure, maybe their ears were licked when they were little cats and dogs, but I was under the understanding that the wax, the scent of the wax, does attract animals. But I don't know if that is true or not. If it attracts lions and tigers and bears, we could be in trouble. But otherwise, I think that that might be a little bit too unusual. But going back to our question about the different kinds of hearing loss other than wax and bears, how do you differentiate between them?
Well, there's three different sections, very distinct sections to the ear. There's the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. The outer ear we've already talked about. That's where we can get wax buildup, infection, things like that, that I can look in the ear, you can look in the ear and visually see, hey, there's something impacting the ear. It's not working the way that it should. Beyond the eardrum, right on the other side of the eardrum, is the middle ear space. That should be air-filled. There shouldn't be any fluid, there should be nothing back there. The three smallest bones in the whole body are located right in that section. And those three bones, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes, they work on a lever action. So as the eardrum pushes the bones, they move and they actually push what's almost like a second eardrum that we don't usually talk about. But let's say it's kind of like your leg, where you have your knee and your ankle, and those are the joints in between those three bones. If I put a cast around your knee and I didn't allow your knee to bend, you would walk with a limp. You wouldn't walk normally. And sometimes with those bones in the ear, the bone will continue to grow around the joint, and it does not allow the bones to move effectively, which can cause a hearing loss. That's what we call otosclerosis. And that will show up on our hearing test looking in a pretty distinct So it'll look in a certain form on the audiogram. So also when we get pressure in our ears, the pressure builds up and it starts to pull fluid from the membrane in that area, the middle ear space. And it starts, the pressure builds up, the fluid builds up, and now all of a sudden there's fluid back there where there shouldn't be, and the eardrum can't move. So these are some diseases of the middle ear. These sometimes can be medically or surgically treated so we can fix the hearing loss. The outer ear where the wax is, infection maybe, again, medically treated so we can fix the hearing loss. The inner ear is that snail-shaped cochlea, and that's where all those little hair cells are standing on end. When those are damaged, that's a permanent loss. So, and you know, there's nothing to say that we can't have a combination. We can have damage to those hair cells in the cochlea and wax. We can have damage to the cochlea and a problem with the bones in the middle ear. So this is why we want you to see an audiologist who's been trained on what to look for and how to test to see if your hearing loss could be medically treated. Maybe you don't need a hearing aid. Maybe if we were able to send you to a doctor, an ENT, and they were able to fix those bones, boom, your hearing's back and you're doing fine. We never want to put a hearing aid as a Band-Aid on a problem that we could fix.
Well, that becomes part of the problem that we face today, though, Jenny, because what I fear with my patients is that they're going to a big box store or online purchasing a hearing device. And that hearing device, they'll use it, but they don't realize that something else medically might be going on, where an expert like you could help to determine that and keep them from spending money on something they're not going to be able to use, but also possibly clarifying and maybe even repairing an ongoing problem medically that could have been taken care of, but goes beyond being able to be repaired. And so that's the scary part that I see right now with some of the online big box arenas, these places that are trying to sell these hearing devices, but yet skipping and missing potential problems that can be fixed.
Well, in essence, we're asking the patient to diagnose themselves.
Right.
And we know how that works. We just don't know enough. I mean, when you think about, how many hundreds of years I spent in school to learn the information that I know, it would be hard for me to diagnose myself. I can't do a hearing test on myself. I'd have to go to somebody and have them do it for me. And yet we're asking people to take a hearing test by themselves on the internet and then purchase a device that could, in effect, hurt them. Maybe it's too loud and you're going to create a hearing loss. Maybe it's not loud enough and you're not hitting the areas you need to, and the areas that have the problem will continue to worsen because they're not being activated. It's a really scary thing for us. I just don't recommend it at all. I would not let my family purchase a medical device that way. So,
and it gives you a false confidence that you're rectifying the problem when indeed there's a bigger problem that's on the other side. And that's sad that people should be enticed into thinking, oh, let's snap our fingers and things will be better when, maybe sometimes that is okay, it works, but there are other times where it's not going to work and things are going to get worse. I do think that all older adults, all seniors, should have a baseline hearing test.
Yes.
Even if they don't, even if no one says anything about hearing, nor that they're thinking they're having a problem, they should have a baseline hearing test, no matter what.
50 years old.
Because 50. And, it's just like, making sure you do your mammogram, your colonoscopy testing, blood work. These are things that should be done preventively, and just to make sure that everything is okay. And because down the line, we can utilize these baseline hearing tests in case that somewhere a year from now or 5 years from now we say, hey, something's wrong, even 20 years from now, and say, hey, yeah, there is a difference. And there is a problem now. So we want to be able to use that and get, especially our seniors. And I believe Medicare pays for our seniors to get a hearing test. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so we should be able to get all seniors listening to this show to just go in and get the test done.
Yeah.
Right, just get it done, and it's paid for. Just get it done because it gives you a baseline. That's what we need to make sure. And with all these other problems that are going on that we're being bombarded with in terms of sound and televisions and earphones and AirPods. Especially for our older adults who utilize all of this, it's important that we stay up to date with our hearing tests.
Yeah, and honestly, the baseline, it would be best if it came out normal. So the earlier, the better.
Yeah.
I
mean, everybody doesn't need to have hearing aids at all. We've talked about that, but it's important that people at least have that baseline. Now, let's talk about a little bit about hearing aids, and let's talk about what is new related to them. They used to be bigger and did one and squeaked a lot. And now they're smaller and, they're Bluetooth and they're really pretty cool in terms of what they can do for our seniors. I mean, when you can answer your phone and it goes to your hearing aid, the phone call, that is something.
And when you can hear the phone ring because it's ringing in your ear and you stop missing all those calls, that's something too. Yeah. That is so cool. So what's new and exciting with hearing aids? There was a launch by a company called Resound, which is one of the big 6 hearing aid manufacturers. And Resound has done something that, my audiology nerd really came out when I saw what they did. Every hearing aid basically has a microphone and a speaker. And in between those two, there's the computer that amplifies the sound. With every hearing aid that's on the market that sits on top of the ear, there's 2 microphones on the device itself. There's one in front and one in back. And so typically the one in front is on all the time, and it's hearing everything all the way around you. When you get into background noise, the second one in the back comes on, and it takes the sounds down. So that's very simple way of explaining kind of how those work. And then the amplifier in the middle is doing a lot of work. It's having to come up with a lot of equations. And one of the equations that we have to decide is the size of your ear canal. We need to kind of guesstimate and find an average size ear canal so that we can use that information in the processing of the sound so it sounds as, quote unquote, normal to you. But what Resound said is, well, the ear is like a fingerprint. It's different from person to person. One person may have very small ear canals. One person might have very big ear canals. Some might be bent a significant way. The pinna or the outside ear that we see, some have a very, very small pinna. Some have very big ears on the outside that capture more sound. So they said, well, normal hearing, we have the sound that kind of funnels into the ear, and the ear canal itself, the sound resonates in there in a certain fashion, and it takes the sound to the eardrum. So what can we do to utilize that ear canal, because it is so different from person to person? And what they did is, and it's super cool, the speaker that's in the ear, they stuck a little microphone on the back of it. And so now the sound is going through the ear canal naturally. Your ear, your pinna, the size and shape of your ear, and it's being picked up inside the ear the way the sound is picked up with my ear, inside the ear near the eardrum. So now we're going to allow your natural ear to give you the most natural sound for you possible.
That is so cool.
It's very, very, it's a big step out of the box, and I think it's going to change the way hearing aids are made from here on out. I think it's going to change the whole way hearing aids are made.
Well, of course, the technology and the science keeps evolving, and we're all pretty lucky comparing it to even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, how we've advanced so much. And so it'll be much more natural, much more easier, and much more accommodating to our especially our senior patients who are having trouble with that otosclerosis and, trying to still live life and not lose a step in moving forward. I just think that with that technology, we've come a long way from the only thing we really had 100 years ago was clean the wax out,
right?
And getting back the wax. Now we have this great technology, which is really cool. So when we come back, let's talk about contact information, a little bit more about other advances with hearing aids. I'm talking with Dr. Jenny Avilos from Santa Clarita Hearing on your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM, KHTS.
Join us this fall for online fun with the Canyon Theater Guild online youth workshops. Super fun classes with acting, singing, dancing, audition tips, script writing, scene study, improv, and putting on real shows created for online performance. Get creative, meet new friends, and most of all, have a blast from the comfort of your own home. Call 661-799-2702 or ctgworkshops@gmail.com or canyontheater.org.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Hi, I'm Eric Goldhurst, Head of Operations for Burger King North America. Throughout this time, we've taken steps to take care of our guests.
And since we know many of your jobs have been affected by this crisis,
we want to help make sure you're taken care of too.
If you are looking for work, we are hiring.
And there's a spot on our team for you.
We know that we'll get through this together, as long as we keep taking care of each other.
For more information, call 253-3283. That's 253-3283.
Aloha, friends! Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
And now for your convenience, a second Honu location at 23502 Lyons Avenue between Peachland and Apple.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com. Located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
You're listening to the Senior Hour on KHTS. Dr. Dorio, take it away.
Jenny, so we've been talking about getting hearing tests, and I want to make sure that those listeners have your contact information. So if you can get, what is your phone number at your office again?
Our number is 661-388-4135.
So that's 661-388-4135, and you are located?
We are located on the Henry Mayo campus. So we are back near the emergency room. So the address is 23861 McBean Parkway, and you can find us in Building D as in David, and in suite number 14, D14. Mm-hmm.
And of course, you are practicing all the COVID-19 precautions. Assure that our listeners are safe from any exposure and things like that.
Correct.
So that's the great stuff that you're doing. So going back to the hearing aids, was there anything else in our last few minutes here that you might want to talk about in terms of the hearing aids and the advances and the technology and the crazy stuff that is just out there right now, tremendously crazy stuff that has improved the quality of life for our seniors?
You know, all of this crazy stuff that is, every time a new hearing aid comes out, it's improved, it's better, it's faster, it's got new features, it's got Bluetooth, it's got connection to the television, it can connect to your cell phone, it can, all of these things. What I want the listeners to know is I don't want you to be afraid of the technology. The technology is my part. I handle the technology, and all you need to do is hear better. If you want to be connected to your TV, I can do it. If you don't, that's okay. If you want to have connection to your cell phone, okay. If not, that's fine too. What's important to know is the computer inside the hearing aid is better and you will hear better. All the other stuff, all the microphones and speakers and amplifiers and all of that, all those gizmos that help you hear better, that's for me. You don't have to worry about that. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk to you about your lifestyle, and I'm going to talk to you about what your needs are and where you're having difficulty. And my job is to help you in those areas. And we do it together, but I handle all the gizmos. And then I will introduce them to you only if you're interested. So I don't want people to be afraid of hearing aids because they're too advanced. They're too, technological. I don't want to have to deal with all of that. You can have them as simple as put them in the charger at night. Don't even have to change the battery. In the morning, you take them out of the charger, you put them on your ears, and you don't touch a thing. They can be that easy.
And the connection to the TV, connection to cell phones, that's great. But the greatest connection, Jenny, is to your family, the people around you, to the community, allowing you to have that quality of life. That's a connection that you are giving them by enhancing their hearing and just evaluating it right off the bat. So these are key issues that our seniors must face in today's world. And if they don't have that connection we're talking about, they're going to be in trouble. They just will be. And I think that what you bring to our community is awesome. That you're up to date on your technology, awesome. But connecting our seniors back into the community and assuring that their quality of life is sustained is the most important thing that I see. Because as a physician, I know, Jenny, that what you do for our patients, when I see them and they can hear me, it makes a huge difference. When they cannot, Jenny, hear me, then it's detrimental. It's detrimental to their health. It's detrimental to their well-being. And so I thank you for, doing what you're doing, because it's so important in our community. Once again, your phone number is 661-388-4135.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for being on the show today. It was great.
Thanks for having me.
We went from wax to great technology. So it's been more than just an interesting show. And thank you for coming in today and informing our listeners about this great technology that will improve their quality of life.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. We are sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care, Advanced Audiology, and Santa Clarita Hearing Center. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.